education, you brought up education and training, you know. Can you give us some examples of how Philippine Airlines is training your employees in terms of using this new technology?
Yep, good question, Jay. No, it's a change management approach, right? So you have to make sure that you follow that concept we're in. Whenever there's a new tool that you're launching, you got to make sure that people understand what's in it for them, what's the purpose of it, what's in it for the company, for the business. You have to maintain open communication so you can continue to address issues that they may have that can help you improve the quality of implementation or the functionalities of the tool, and address not just the customer concerns but also the concerns of the users, right? You also need to make sure that you provide them with the right training so they can understand. Like I mentioned earlier, I kept on repeating limitation of the tool, how to use it properly, how to use it effectively. In addition to that, there should be a post-implementation review, right? The implementation should not just stop with just launching it. You have to have an open communication. It's a journey. You have to keep on improving it, and you need to keep on listening to the people. I'll just give one example about the Service Cloud implementation. When we come up with the minimum viable product or the functionalities of the tool, we had to come up with a lot of modifications after that, because we listened to the users, their suggestions, their recommendations, which, as much as possible, we tried to factor in during the initial release, but let's be practical. Not everything can be captured properly, and you need to understand that ideations or iterations might be necessary in order for you to continue to meet the needs as well of the users, right? Because ultimately, if you don't listen to their needs, if you don't listen to their feedback, adoption will suffer, right? And you need to maintain that open communication, and they need to see the results so they can keep on believing that this tool is meant to make things better for us, for our passengers, for the business, and it's a partnership that we're establishing with the users instead of us just trying to force them to use the technology.
Yeah, so you touch on it's a continuous evolution, right? It's a continuous journey to get the adoption. It's an ongoing adoption journey, right? So when it comes to, say, for example, like just looking at the trust aspect of AI, right? Is that how we go about evaluating a successful AI implementation? So how do you go about evaluating a success?
You have to, in terms of the evaluation of success, you have to define your metrics, right? AI, the tool, the entire AI initiatives in general. Then you have to measure, of course, operational efficiency. You have to measure, customer experience, can be CSAT, Net Promoter Score, the cost savings, because of course it will result in lower staffing requirements, and you can reskill some of the people to perform other more complex tasks. So those are some of the metrics that you can look at. But in terms of trust, so you continue to evaluate, right? Like I said, until you achieve a certain level, you have to categorize the tasks that you believe are routinary. So routinary would be direct, responses or integration without complex flows, which do not require nuanced understanding of things. Say, for example, if a passenger is asking for compensation, right? It can vary. All the scenarios are unique. It can, you can integrate with all the previous cases handled similarly, and you can refer to it. But each situation is probably unique. It's not a straightforward approach we're in. Okay, this happened, and we will do that. It's not like that. For situations wherein a careful evaluation is required, right? You need to ensure that you have the right process flow in place wherein a human intervention might be needed. And for the other tasks which are routinary, then you can make it autonomous, and accuracy will be high. Risks level will be tolerated and will be minimal and can be mitigated. So when you do it that way, trust can be higher because you're able to properly categorize the tasks and be able to employ the right kind of AI per tasks. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have your human-assisted, you have your autonomous. It depends on the risk level and the kind of tasks that are needed to be performed. When you do that effectively, then you're able to achieve high accuracy, which can be your, when you do it, can help you achieve the credibility in terms of building that trust in AI.
Yeah, credibility, of course, is a big factor. That's when correct. It comes to building trust.
Yeah.
You talk about categorizing flows into different high risk, low risk,
That's right.
in terms of intervention from the
Yes,
humans, right? I think this is going to be my last question,
Uh-huh.
really. So when it comes to new organizations looking to, say, for example, implementing AI from scratch, right? How would you advise them to say, okay, this business process in general is suitable for AI adoption?
Good question. I would start with understanding, listing down all the pain areas. The next thing that I'll do is I'll probably quantify how much volume is attributed to each pain area. And then how complex is the task. So those are the three, primary things that I'll check. What are the pain areas? What's the volume associated? And how complex is the task? So I would start with the high volume, less complex, which are common pain areas, which I would say would be repetitive or routinary. Those are the easiest, wherein accuracy will be high.
Low-hanging fruits.
Low-hanging fruits, right? It can give you the biggest benefit because it's affecting a lot of customers. So I'll give you one example. Checking for flight status, right? If you have a great tool in place, people would call just to check, is my flight canceled or still on time? Probably because of the multiple flight disruptions, they don't trust anymore that the flights are on time, departing on time. So they would have to reach out to validate if the flight is still on time or affected by a disruption. So that's high volume. That's very, straightforward. So I would, if you prioritize that, it can reduce your volume by X percentage, which is your most impacting. You're able to provide accurate responses because the flow is pretty straightforward, And then it can also help you appreciate the value of AI. And then you start from there. And then from there, you continue to elevate the capabilities of the AI in your organization. So I would start with the lowest hanging fruit, talking about those three criteria in understanding what could be initial activities that I would use as my use case when implementing AI.